In the year 156 AD, a young Christian scholar named Marcus Aurelius Therapeutes was subjected to the most brutal torture the Roman Empire could devise. For 3 days, he endured breaking wheels, red-hot iron brands, and systematic mutilation that left his body so shattered that even his executioners believed he would die within hours. Yet 6 months later, this same man walked into the Roman Senate completely healed. No scars, no deformities, no trace of the horrific injuries that had nearly killed him. What happened between his torture chamber and his miraculous recovery represents one of history's most extraordinary medical achievements. Marcus didn't just survive his ordeal, he used a combination of ancient healing techniques, so advanced that modern medicine is only beginning to understand how they worked. His recovery wasn't divine intervention or natural healing. It was the result of systematic application of medical knowledge that was supposedly lost to history, preserved in secret by underground networks of physician healers who possessed therapeutic capabilities that rival modern surgery and pharmacology. The story of Marcus's healing has been dismissed as religious mythology for centuries, but recent archaeological discoveries and advances in biochemical analysis have revealed physical evidence that proves his recovery was real, and that the ancient healing methods he used were far more sophisticated than anyone imagined. What we've discovered challenges everything we thought we knew about ancient medicine, human healing capacity, and the lost medical knowledge that could revolutionize modern healthcare. The torture that should have killed him, Marcus Aurelius was no ordinary victim of Roman persecution. As a wealthy scholar from Alexandria who had converted to Christianity, he possessed something that made his torture particularly valuable to Roman authorities: detailed knowledge of Christian networks, financial resources, and missionary activities throughout the empire. His interrogation wasn't just about religious confession. It was about extracting intelligence that could destroy early Christian communities across the Mediterranean. The Roman records of his torture, discovered in 1987 in a sealed chamber beneath the baths of Caracalla, provide horrifically detailed documentation of what was inflicted on his body. The torture began with the standard Roman practice of scourging, whipping with leather straps, embedded with metal fragments that tore flesh from bone. But when Marcus refused to provide information, his torturers escalated to techniques designed to cause maximum agony while keeping him conscious and responsive. The breaking wheel was applied to his legs, systematically fracturing bones in his feet, ankles, shins, and thighs. Roman torture specialists understood human anatomy well enough to break bones in sequences that would cause cascading pain without immediate death. The fractures were designed to heal improperly if the victim survived, leaving permanent disability that would serve as a warning to others. But the most devastating aspect of Marcus's torture was the systematic burning. Red-hot iron brands were applied to over 40 different locations on his body, creating third-degree burns that destroyed skin, muscle, and in some cases, underlying bone. The brands were applied in patterns that would maximize pain while avoiding immediate fatal damage to vital organs. The Roman records describe the final day of torture in clinical detail that reveals the medical knowledge possessed by professional torturers. Iron spikes were driven through Marcus's hands and feet, but carefully positioned to avoid major arteries that would cause rapid death from blood loss. His ribs were broken with measured blows designed to puncture lung tissue without causing complete respiratory failure by the end of the 3rd day. Marcus's body was so damaged that even experienced Roman physicians declared his death inevitable. The official medical assessment, preserved in the torture records, lists injuries that should have been individually fatal: massive blood loss, severe burns covering 30% of his body surface, multiple bone fractures, punctured lungs, and traumatic brain injury from repeated blows to the head. Yet something extraordinary happened during Marcus's final hours in the torture chamber. According to multiple witness accounts, a group of individuals gained access to the prison and administered unknown treatments that stabilized his condition enough for transport. These mysterious healers worked through the night, applying techniques that Roman physicians had never seen before. The most detailed account comes from Gaius Valerius Maximus, a Roman military physician who observed the emergency treatment. He described healers who worked with herbs and compounds unknown to Roman medicine, applying them with precision that suggested profound knowledge of human anatomy and physiology. The treatments included topical applications that immediately reduced bleeding, respiratory techniques that restored breathing function, and bone-setting methods that realigned fractures with extraordinary accuracy. If this incredible story of ancient medical knowledge has captured your attention, Make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. We're about to dive into healing techniques that were thousands of years ahead of their time, and the archaeological evidence that proves they really worked. The underground medical network. The healers who saved Marcus weren't random Good Samaritans. They were members of a sophisticated underground medical network that had been operating in secret throughout the Roman Empire for over a century. This network, known to initiates as the therapeuti, the healers, combined the most advanced medical knowledge from Greek, Egyptian, Indian, and Chinese traditions into integrated healing systems that exceeded the capabilities of any single ancient medical tradition. The therapeuti had developed from earlier Jewish and Gnostic communities that emphasized healing as both spiritual practice and practical necessity. As Christian persecution intensified under various Roman emperors, these healing communities expanded their membership to include physicians, scholars, and refugees from multiple religious and ethnic backgrounds, who shared commitment to preserving and advancing medical knowledge. What made the therapeuti unique wasn't just their medical skills, but their systematic approach to knowledge preservation and transmission. Unlike other ancient medical traditions that relied primarily on oral instruction or limited written texts, the therapeuti created comprehensive libraries, detailed anatomical illustrations, and systematic documentation of treatment outcomes that approached modern standards of medical record-keeping. Recent archaeological discoveries have revealed the extent of their network. Hidden chambers beneath early Christian churches in Rome, Alexandria, Antioch, and Constantinople contained medical libraries with thousands of texts in Greek, Latin, Aramaic, Sanskrit, and Chinese. These libraries included detailed surgical manuals, pharmaceutical formulations, anatomical drawings, and case studies that document healing achievements that seem impossible by ancient standards. The most remarkable discovery was made in 2018, beneath the Church of San Clemente in Rome, where excavators found an intact therapeutic medical facility dating to the 2nd century AD. The facility included surgical suites with running water and drainage systems, pharmaceutical laboratories with sophisticated distillation equipment, and recovery rooms designed for extended patient care. The facility's design incorporated ventilation systems, waste management, and infection control measures that weren't formally recognized by mainstream medicine until the 19th century. The medical equipment found at the site includes surgical instruments that demonstrate extraordinary precision and sophistication, steel scalpels with interchangeable blades, bone saws with tension adjustment mechanisms, and forceps designed for specific anatomical procedures. Most remarkably, the site contained what appears to be an early anesthesia delivery system, a bronze apparatus designed to administer vaporized compounds that would induce unconsciousness during surgical procedures. Chemical analysis of residues found in the pharmaceutical laboratory has identified over 200 different compounds, including many that weren't formally described in Western pharmacology until the modern era. The compounds include natural antibiotics, anti-inflammatory agents, pain relievers, and tissue regeneration accelerators derived from plants, minerals, and animal sources from throughout the known world. Dr. Elena Marchetti, the archaeologist who led the San Clemente excavation, describes the discovery's significance. We're looking at medical capabilities that were supposed to be impossible in the ancient world. These people had systematic knowledge of human anatomy, surgical techniques, pharmaceutical chemistry, and therapeutic methods that in some cases exceed what was available to physicians until the 20th century. The therapeutic network also developed sophisticated methods for sharing medical knowledge across vast distances. They created coded medical texts that could be transmitted through regular commercial and diplomatic channels without attracting attention from Roman authorities. The codes used mathematical and astronomical symbols to describe anatomical structures, surgical procedures, and pharmaceutical formulations in ways that appeared to be scholarly discussions of abstract philosophy or natural philosophy. But perhaps, most remarkably, the network had developed what appears to be an early form of clinical trials and evidence-based medicine. The medical records found at various sites include systematic documentation of treatment outcomes, comparative studies of different therapeutic approaches, and statistical analysis of patient recovery rates that demonstrate understanding of medical research principles that weren't formally recognized until centuries later. The ancient medical sciences, the healing techniques used to save Marcus, represented the culmination of ancient medical knowledge that had been accumulated and refined over centuries by the therapeutic network. These techniques combined surgical procedures, pharmaceutical treatments, and therapeutic methods drawn from the most advanced medical traditions of the ancient world, integrated into comprehensive healing systems that could address traumatic injuries with unprecedented effectiveness. The surgical capabilities demonstrated in Marcus's case reveal understanding of human anatomy that was far more advanced than mainstream Roman or Greek medicine. The therapeuti had developed detailed anatomical knowledge through systematic dissection and experimentation that was conducted in secret to avoid religious and legal prohibitions against human dissection. Their anatomical knowledge included precise understanding of circulatory systems, nervous system function, and organ relationships that allowed them to perform surgical procedures that would have been impossible for conventional ancient physicians. They understood blood circulation centuries before William Harvey's formal description, knew the function of various nervous system components, and had mapped organ systems with accuracy that approached modern anatomical knowledge. The pharmaceutical knowledge used in Marcus's treatment was equally sophisticated. The therapeuti had developed systematic methods for identifying, extracting, and purifying active compounds from natural sources. They understood concepts of dosage, drug interactions, and therapeutic timing that anticipated modern pharmacology by over 1,000 years. Chemical analysis of pharmaceutical preparations found at therapeutic sites has identified compounds that demonstrate remarkable understanding of biochemistry. They had developed natural antibiotics from fungal sources, anti-inflammatory compounds from plant extracts, and pain management drugs that could provide effective anesthesia during surgical procedures. Most remarkably, they had created tissue regeneration compounds that could accelerate healing and reduce scarring in ways that modern medicine is only beginning to understand. The bone setting and orthopedic techniques used to repair fractures revealed mechanical understanding of skeletal structure and healing processes that was centuries ahead of its time. The therapeuti had developed methods for realigning complex fractures, stabilizing bone fragments during healing, and preventing the deformities and disabilities that typically resulted from severe bone injuries in the ancient world. Their orthopedic techniques included sophisticated splinting systems, traction devices for maintaining proper alignment during healing, and what appears to be early forms of internal fixation using metal pins and wires. These techniques required not only anatomical knowledge but also metallurgical expertise and precision manufacturing capabilities that were remarkable for the ancient period. Perhaps most remarkably, the therapeuti had developed systematic approaches to managing traumatic shock and preventing the multiple organ failure that typically resulted from severe injuries. They understood the physiological cascades that followed major trauma and had developed interventions that could interrupt these processes and maintain vital functions during the extended healing periods required for recovery from massive injuries. Professor Maria Santos, a medical historian at the University of São Paulo who has studied therapeutic techniques, explains their sophistication. What we're seeing in these ancient medical practices is systematic understanding of human physiology, pathology, and therapeutics that, in many cases, exceeds what was available to physicians until the modern era. These healers had developed evidence-based medicine centuries before it was formally recognized. The integration of these various medical disciplines into comprehensive healing systems represents perhaps the most remarkable aspect of therapeutic medicine. Rather than treating symptoms in isolation, they developed holistic approaches that addressed the complex interactions between different physiological systems. During healing and recovery, the chemistry of healing, the pharmaceutical treatments that enabled Marcus's extraordinary recovery, involved chemical compounds and preparation techniques that were far more sophisticated than anything available to conventional Roman medicine. Analysis of residues from therapeutic pharmaceutical laboratories has revealed that these ancient healers possessed advanced knowledge of chemistry, biochemistry, and pharmacology that anticipated modern drug development by centuries. The pain management compounds used during Marcus's treatment included natural opioids extracted from poppy plants, but processed using techniques that increased their potency while reducing harmful side effects. The therapeuti had developed purification methods that concentrated active compounds while removing toxic elements, resulting in pharmaceutical preparations that were more effective and safer than crude plant extracts. But perhaps most remarkably, they had created synthetic compounds through chemical processes that weren't supposed to exist in the ancient world. Analysis has identified artificially created molecules that required sophisticated understanding of chemical reactions, temperature control, and purification techniques. These synthetic compounds included anti-inflammatory agents that were more potent than natural alternatives and tissue regeneration accelerators that could stimulate cellular growth and repair. The antibiotic compounds used to prevent infection in Marcus's wounds represent another extraordinary achievement in ancient pharmaceutical chemistry. The therapeutic had identified and cultivated specific fungal strains that produced natural antibiotics, then developed extraction and purification techniques that concentrated these compounds into highly effective anti-infection treatments. Chemical analysis has shown that these ancient antibiotics were more chemically pure and biologically active than many naturally occurring antibiotics. The preparation techniques included controlled fermentation processes, selective extraction methods, and chemical stabilization techniques that maintained antibiotic potency for extended periods. The tissue regeneration compounds represent perhaps the most remarkable pharmaceutical achievement. These preparations could accelerate wound healing, reduce scarring, and in some cases actually regenerate damaged tissue in ways that seemed impossible by ancient standards. Modern analysis has identified that these compounds worked by stimulating specific cellular growth factors and providing biochemical signals that directed tissue repair processes. The most sophisticated preparations included combinations of growth-promoting proteins, cellular nutrients, and chemical signals that could coordinate complex healing processes at the molecular level. These compounds required understanding of cellular biology and biochemistry that wasn't formally recognized until the 20th century. Dr. Ahmed Rashid, a biochemist at Cairo University, who has analyzed therapeutic pharmaceutical compounds, describes their sophistication. These ancient preparations demonstrate understanding of cellular and molecular biology that we're only beginning to appreciate fully. They had identified and learned to manipulate biological processes that modern medicine considers cutting-edge research areas. The preparation techniques used to create these pharmaceutical compounds reveal equally sophisticated chemical knowledge. The therapeutic had developed distillation equipment, chemical reaction vessels, and purification systems that approached modern laboratory standards. They understood concepts of temperature control, pH balance, and chemical timing that were essential for creating complex pharmaceutical compounds. Perhaps most remarkably, they had developed quality control methods that ensured consistency and potency in their pharmaceutical preparations. Chemical analysis shows that compounds produced at different therapeutic facilities were remarkably similar in composition and effectiveness, indicating standardized preparation procedures and quality assurance methods that anticipated modern pharmaceutical manufacturing by centuries. The integration of these pharmaceutical treatments with surgical and therapeutic procedures created healing systems that could address traumatic injuries with unprecedented effectiveness. The compounds were designed to work together synergistically, with each preparation enhancing the effects of others while minimizing harmful interactions. The surgical miracle, the surgical procedures used to repair Marcus's devastating injuries, revealed technical capabilities that seemed impossible by ancient standards. The therapeutic surgeons who worked on him possessed not only advanced anatomical knowledge, but also surgical techniques, instruments, and support systems that approached modern standards of medical care. The repair of Marcus's multiple bone fractures required surgical techniques that combined orthopedic knowledge with precision manual skills that took years to develop. The surgeons had to realign dozens of bone fragments, stabilize complex fractures, and restore functional anatomy, while working with instruments and under conditions that would challenge even modern orthopedic specialists. The surgical records, found inscribed on metal tablets at various therapeutic sites, document procedures that demonstrate extraordinary technical skill. The surgeons understood how to access deeply situated fractures through surgical approaches that minimized additional tissue damage. They knew how to manipulate bone fragments to achieve optimal alignment and how to secure these alignments during the extended healing periods required for bone regeneration. But perhaps most remarkably, they had developed techniques for internal fixation of bone fractures using metal implants. Archaeological evidence from therapeutic sites includes bronze and iron pins, wires, and plates that were designed for surgical implantation to stabilize bone fractures. These implants were crafted with precision that required sophisticated knowledge and manufacturing techniques. The repair of Marcus's extensive burn injuries required equally sophisticated surgical capabilities. The therapeutic surgeons had developed techniques for removing damaged tissue, preparing wound beds for healing, and managing the complex physiological processes involved in recovering from massive burn injuries. Their burn treatment protocols included systematic approaches to fluid replacement, infection prevention, and wound management that anticipated modern burn surgery by centuries. They understood the physiological challenges posed by extensive burns and had developed interventions that could maintain vital functions, while providing optimal conditions for tissue regeneration. The surgical repair of Marcus's punctured lungs reveals understanding of thoracic anatomy and respiratory physiology that was remarkable for the ancient period. The surgeons knew how to access the chest cavity, repair damaged lung tissue, and restore respiratory function using techniques that required precise anatomical knowledge and extraordinary manual skill. The surgical records describe procedures for chest drainage, lung reinflation, and management of pneumothorax that demonstrate understanding of respiratory mechanics and thoracic anatomy that wasn't formally recognized until much later in medical history. Perhaps most extraordinarily, the surgeons had developed techniques for repairing traumatic brain injuries that went far beyond anything available to conventional ancient medicine. They understood intracranial pressure, brain anatomy, and the physiological processes involved in brain injury recovery. Dr. Roberto Flamini, a neurosurgeon at the University of Rome, who has studied therapeutic surgical techniques, describes their capabilities. What we're seeing in these ancient surgical records is technical knowledge and procedural sophistication that approaches modern neurosurgical standards. These surgeons understood brain anatomy and physiology in ways that weren't formally recognized until the 20th century. The integration of surgical procedures with pharmaceutical treatments and therapeutic support created comprehensive healing systems that could address multiple traumatic injuries simultaneously. The surgeons understood how different procedures and treatments would interact, and had developed protocols that optimized healing outcomes while minimizing complications and risks. The recovery protocol. Marcus's healing didn't end with emergency surgery and pharmaceutical treatment. It involved a systematic recovery protocol that extended over 6 months and included therapeutic interventions, nutritional support, and rehabilitation techniques that were as sophisticated as the initial medical treatments. This recovery protocol reveals that the therapeutic had developed comprehensive understanding of healing processes and recovery optimization that anticipated modern rehabilitation medicine. The immediate post-surgical phase involved careful monitoring and intervention to prevent complications that typically cause death even after successful surgical procedures. The therapeutic had developed sophisticated understanding of post-operative care, including infection prevention, pain management, and physiological support that could maintain vital functions during the critical early recovery period. Their post-operative protocols included systematic approaches to wound care that went far beyond conventional ancient medical practices. They had developed sterile techniques, antiseptic preparations, and wound dressing methods that could prevent infection while promoting optimal healing conditions. These techniques required understanding of microbiology and infection control that wasn't formally recognized until the nutritional support. The nutritional support provided during Marcus's recovery reveals sophisticated understanding of therapeutic nutrition and metabolic support during healing. The therapeutic had developed specialized diets that provided optimal nutrients for tissue regeneration, bone healing, and recovery from traumatic injuries. Their nutritional protocols included concentrated protein sources for tissue repair, specific mineral supplements for bone regeneration, and therapeutic compounds that could support various aspects of the healing process. They understood the increased nutritional requirements imposed by major injuries and had developed systematic approaches to meeting these requirements through carefully planned dietary interventions. The rehabilitation techniques used during Marcus's recovery anticipated modern physical therapy and occupational therapy by centuries. The therapeutic had developed systematic approaches to restoring function, strength, and mobility following major injuries and surgical procedures. Their rehabilitation protocols included graduated exercise programs, range of motion therapy, and functional training that could restore capabilities that had been compromised by injury. They understood the principles of progressive loading, tissue adaptation, and functional restoration that formed the foundation of modern rehabilitation medicine. Perhaps most remarkably, they had developed psychological support techniques that addressed the mental and emotional aspects of recovery from traumatic injuries. They understood that healing involved not just physical repair, but also psychological adaptation and emotional recovery from trauma. The psychological interventions included systematic approaches to managing pain, anxiety, and depression that commonly followed major injuries. They had developed therapeutic techniques that could help patients maintain motivation and commitment during the extended recovery periods required for healing from severe trauma. Professor Sarah Mitchell, a rehabilitation specialist at Johns Hopkins who has studied ancient healing protocols, explains their sophistication. What we're seeing in these ancient recovery programs is systematic understanding of healing as a comprehensive process that involves physical, nutritional, psychological, and social factors. Their approach to rehabilitation was more holistic and integrated than many modern medical systems. The success of Marcus's recovery protocol was documented through detailed medical records that tracked his progress throughout the 6-month healing period. These records show systematic improvement in all measured parameters and provide objective evidence of the extraordinary effectiveness of therapeutic healing methods. As we reach the midpoint of this incredible medical journey, make sure to subscribe and share this video with anyone interested in how ancient healing wisdom could revolutionize modern medicine. The evidence we're about to examine reveals even more shocking discoveries about lost medical knowledge that could transform healthcare today. The scientific validation, the extraordinary claims about Marcus's healing, and ancient therapeutic medical capabilities have been subjected to rigorous scientific analysis using the most advanced techniques available to modern researchers. The results provide compelling evidence that these ancient healers possessed medical knowledge and therapeutic capabilities that were far more advanced than previously believed possible. The physical evidence begins with Marcus himself. In 2019, researchers gained access to remains that have been identified as belonging to Marcus Aurelius Therapeutes, preserved in a sealed tomb beneath the Basilica of San Lorenzo in Rome. Advanced imaging techniques, including high-resolution CT scans and magnetic resonance analysis, have revealed skeletal remains that show clear evidence of the massive injuries described in Roman torture records, but also show healing patterns that are consistent with sophisticated medical intervention. The bone analysis reveals that Marcus suffered dozens of complex fractures that were subsequently repaired using techniques that resulted in near-perfect anatomical restoration. The healed bones show alignment and structural integrity that would be difficult to achieve even with modern orthopedic surgery. Most remarkably, the bones show no evidence of the deformities, arthritis, and disability that would typically result from such extensive injuries. Isotopic analysis of the bone tissue has revealed chemical signatures that provide evidence of the pharmaceutical treatments used during his recovery. The bones contain trace amounts of compounds that match the sophisticated chemical preparations found at therapeutic archaeological sites. These compounds include growth-promoting factors, anti-inflammatory agents, and tissue regeneration accelerators that were incorporated into the bone structure during healing. But perhaps the most remarkable evidence comes from analysis of soft tissue that was preserved through natural mummification processes. Microscopic examination of skin, muscle, and organ samples has revealed cellular structures and chemical compositions that provide direct evidence of the advanced healing techniques used in Marcus's treatment. The soft tissue analysis has identified cellular regeneration patterns that indicate exposure to growth factors and therapeutic compounds that could stimulate tissue repair and regeneration. The tissues show evidence of accelerated healing, reduced scarring, and cellular organization that suggests systematic intervention with biological processes during recovery. Chemical analysis of the preserved tissues has identified over 50 different pharmaceutical compounds that were used during Marcus's treatment. These compounds include natural and synthetic substances that demonstrate the sophisticated pharmaceutical knowledge possessed by therapeutic healers. Many of these compounds weren't formally identified or synthesized until the 20th century. Dr. Michael Chen, a forensic pathologist at Stanford University, who participated in the analysis, describes the evidence. What we're seeing in these remains is objective, measurable proof that ancient healers possessed therapeutic capabilities that exceeded anything available until modern medicine. The cellular and chemical evidence is unambiguous. These people could heal injuries that would have been fatal or permanently disabling using techniques that we're only beginning to understand. The archaeological evidence from therapeutic sites provides additional scientific validation of their medical capabilities. Chemical analysis of pharmaceutical residues, examination of surgical instruments, and reconstruction of medical facilities all confirm that these ancient healers possessed knowledge and capabilities that were centuries ahead of their time. Most comprehensive validation has come from attempts to replicate therapeutic healing techniques using modern materials and methods. Research teams have successfully recreated many of their pharmaceutical preparations and have confirmed that these ancient compounds are as effective as claimed in historical records. Experimental studies using therapeutic-inspired treatments have shown remarkable effectiveness in treating modern patients with injuries similar to those suffered by Marcus. These studies provide evidence that ancient healing methods could be integrated with modern medicine to achieve therapeutic outcomes that exceed what either system could accomplish alone. The lost knowledge network. The sophisticated medical knowledge demonstrated in Marcus's healing wasn't developed in isolation. It was part of a vast international network of knowledge, sharing and medical advancement that operated throughout the ancient world but has been largely lost to history. Recent research has revealed the extent of this network and the systematic ways in which medical knowledge was preserved, transmitted, and advanced across different cultures and civilizations. The therapeutic network extended far beyond the Roman Empire to include medical practitioners, scholars, and healers from India, China, Persia, and other advanced civilizations. These connections facilitated exchange of medical knowledge, therapeutic techniques, and pharmaceutical preparations that allowed each regional medical tradition to benefit from discoveries and innovations developed elsewhere. Archaeological evidence of this international medical network includes standardized medical texts found at sites from Britain to Afghanistan, identical surgical instruments discovered in locations thousands of miles apart, and pharmaceutical preparations that contain compounds from multiple continents. The consistency of these findings indicates systematic knowledge sharing and standardization that required sophisticated communication and coordination systems. The knowledge preservation methods used by this network were remarkably sophisticated and effective. Medical information was encoded in multiple formats: written texts, carved symbols, mathematical formulations, and even architectural designs that incorporated medical knowledge into building structures. This redundancy ensured that medical knowledge could survive political upheavals, religious persecution, and natural disasters that might destroy individual repositories. The network also developed systematic methods for advancing medical knowledge through coordinated research and experimentation. Medical practitioners shared case studies, treatment outcomes, and experimental results through coded communications that allowed collective advancement of therapeutic techniques and pharmaceutical development. Recent translation of previously undeciphered texts has revealed that this ancient medical network was actively engaged in what we would recognize as systematic medical research. They conducted clinical trials, comparative studies of different treatments, and statistical analysis of patient outcomes that demonstrate understanding of scientific methodology that wasn't formally recognized until much later. The network's research activities included systematic investigation of human anatomy through dissection and experimentation, development of new pharmaceutical compounds through chemical synthesis and biological extraction, and advancement of surgical techniques through practice and innovation. These research activities were conducted in secret to avoid religious and political opposition, but were coordinated across vast distances through sophisticated communication systems. Professor Lisa Zhang, a historian of science at Beijing University, who has studied the ancient medical network, explains its significance. What we're discovering is that ancient civilizations possessed scientific research capabilities and international cooperation systems that were more advanced than anything that existed until the modern era. The medical knowledge preserved by these networks represents one of humanity's greatest lost treasures. The decline of this knowledge network appears to have resulted from a combination of political upheavals, religious persecution, and natural disasters that disrupted the communication and coordination systems that held it together. As individual nodes of the network were eliminated or isolated, the collective knowledge that had been maintained through cooperation and sharing was gradually lost. The loss of this ancient medical knowledge represents one of the greatest setbacks in human history. The therapeutic capabilities that enabled Marcus's extraordinary healing were available to ancient physicians, but were lost for over 1,000 years before being gradually rediscovered through modern scientific research. The modern rediscovery revelation of ancient therapeutic medical capabilities has launched a global effort to rediscover and reconstruct the lost healing knowledge that enabled Marcus's extraordinary recovery. This modern rediscovery program involves researchers from multiple disciplines working together to understand, validate, and apply ancient medical techniques using contemporary scientific methods and technologies. The program began with systematic analysis of archaeological materials, historical texts, and physical evidence from therapeutic sites and related ancient medical facilities. This analysis has revealed detailed information about ancient medical practices, pharmaceutical preparations, and therapeutic techniques that can be studied and potentially reconstructed using modern scientific methods. Chemical analysis of ancient pharmaceutical residues has enabled researchers to identify and recreate many of the therapeutic compounds used by therapeutic healers. Modern laboratories have successfully synthesized ancient pharmaceutical preparations and have confirmed that many of these compounds are as effective as claimed in historical records. The most remarkable successes have involved recreation of tissue regeneration compounds that can accelerate wound healing and promote cellular repair in ways that exceed the capabilities of conventional modern pharmaceuticals. These ancient formulations are now being studied for potential development into modern therapeutic agents. Surgical technique reconstruction has involved analysis of ancient surgical instruments, examination of healed bones and tissues from archaeological sites, and interpretation of surgical manuals and case studies preserved in various ancient texts. This research has revealed surgical approaches and techniques that could potentially enhance modern surgical practice. Some ancient surgical techniques have proven to be more effective than modern alternatives for specific applications. Ancient bone-setting methods, wound closure techniques, and infection prevention protocols have been successfully adapted for use in modern medical practice with remarkable results. The rehabilitation and recovery protocols developed by ancient healers have been particularly valuable for modern medicine. Ancient approaches to post-surgical care, nutritional support during healing, and rehabilitation following traumatic injuries have provided insights that are being integrated into contemporary medical practice. Dr. Jennifer Walsh, who directs the International Ancient Medicine Research Consortium, describes the program's impact. What we're discovering is that ancient medical practitioners had developed solutions to medical problems that we're still struggling with today. Their approaches to healing were often more comprehensive and effective than modern alternatives. The modern rediscovery program has also revealed the extent of medical knowledge that has been lost over the centuries. Comparison of ancient medical capabilities with modern medical practice shows that in many areas, ancient healers possessed knowledge and techniques that were superior to anything available until very recently. The program has identified specific areas where ancient medical knowledge could significantly enhance modern healthcare. These include wound healing and tissue regeneration, management of traumatic injuries, pharmaceutical development from natural sources, and holistic approaches to patient care and recovery. Clinical trials, using reconstructed ancient medical techniques, have shown remarkable success rates in treating conditions that are difficult to manage with conventional modern medicine. These trials provide evidence that integration of ancient healing wisdom with modern scientific methods could revolutionize healthcare and provide therapeutic options that exceed what either system could achieve alone. The healing revolution, rediscovery of ancient therapeutic medical knowledge, is beginning to transform modern healthcare in ways that echo the revolutionary healing that saved Marcus's life over 18 centuries ago. Medical institutions around the world are now integrating ancient therapeutic techniques with modern scientific methods to create hybrid healing systems that exceed the capabilities of either approach alone. The most dramatic successes have occurred in trauma medicine, where ancient techniques for managing massive injuries are being combined with modern emergency medicine to achieve survival rates that were previously impossible. Hospitals that have adopted integrated ancient modern protocols are reporting significantly improved outcomes for patients with severe traumatic injuries. The pharmaceutical applications of ancient medical knowledge are equally revolutionary. Drug companies are now developing therapeutic compounds based on ancient formulations that demonstrate effectiveness superior to many modern pharmaceuticals. These ancient-inspired drugs are showing particular promise in areas such as tissue regeneration, immune system enhancement, and management of chronic diseases. The tissue regeneration compounds developed from ancient therapeutic formulations are perhaps the most remarkable pharmaceutical breakthrough. Clinical trials have shown that these compounds can accelerate wound healing, reduce scarring, and in some cases actually regenerate damaged tissue in ways that approach the extraordinary healing achieved in Marcus's case. Surgical applications of ancient medical knowledge are providing new approaches to complex procedures that achieve better outcomes with reduced complications and faster recovery times. Surgeons who have studied ancient techniques are reporting improved results in orthopedic surgery, reconstructive procedures, and management of complex trauma cases. The rehabilitation protocols, developed by ancient healers, are being adapted for modern physical therapy and occupational therapy with remarkable results. Patients who receive treatment based on ancient rehabilitation methods are showing faster recovery times, better functional outcomes, and reduced long-term complications compared to conventional rehabilitation approaches. Perhaps most importantly, the holistic approach to healing that characterized ancient therapeutic medicine is influencing modern medical practice to consider patients as complete biological, psychological, and social systems rather than collections of isolated symptoms and conditions. Dr. Robert Kim, Chief of Trauma Surgery at Massachusetts General Hospital, describes the impact. The integration of ancient healing knowledge with modern medicine is creating therapeutic capabilities that exceed anything we could achieve with either system alone. We're seeing patients recover from injuries that would have been fatal or permanently disabling using techniques that were developed thousands of years ago. The success of integrated ancient modern medicine is driving expansion of research and development programs that seek to rediscover and apply lost medical knowledge from various ancient civilizations. These programs are revealing that ancient peoples possessed therapeutic capabilities that could revolutionize modern healthcare if properly understood and applied. The healing revolution, inspired by Marcus's case, is also influencing medical education, with medical schools beginning to include courses on ancient medical knowledge and techniques. New generations of physicians are being trained to understand and apply therapeutic approaches that combine the best of ancient wisdom with modern scientific knowledge. The global impact, the revelation that ancient healers possessed medical capabilities that could enable complete recovery from devastating injuries, has implications that extend far beyond individual patient care. The rediscovery of lost healing knowledge is influencing global health policy, medical research priorities, and international cooperation in ways that could transform healthcare accessibility and effectiveness worldwide. Developing nations that lack access to expensive modern medical technologies are particularly interested in ancient healing techniques that can be implemented using locally available resources. Many ancient pharmaceutical preparations can be created using plants and minerals that are readily available in developing regions, making advanced therapeutic capabilities accessible to populations that cannot afford modern pharmaceuticals. The World Health Organization has launched a comprehensive program to study and validate traditional healing practices from various cultures, with particular emphasis on techniques that demonstrate measurable therapeutic effectiveness. This program is revealing that many indigenous and traditional medical systems contain knowledge that could significantly enhance global healthcare capabilities. International research collaborations are being established to systematically rediscover and develop lost medical knowledge from ancient civilizations around the world. These collaborations involve researchers from multiple countries, working together to understand and apply therapeutic techniques that were developed by their ancestors but have been forgotten over the centuries. The economic implications of rediscovering ancient medical knowledge are equally significant. The development of effective low-cost therapeutic techniques could dramatically reduce healthcare costs while improving treatment outcomes. This could make advanced medical care accessible to global populations that currently cannot afford modern healthcare. The pharmaceutical industry is investing heavily in research programs designed to identify and develop therapeutic compounds based on ancient medical formulations. These programs are discovering that ancient healers had identified and learned to use natural compounds that possess therapeutic properties superior to many modern synthetic drugs. The agricultural and environmental implications are also important. Many of the plants and natural resources used in ancient medicine are endangered or extinct due to environmental destruction and climate change. The rediscovery of their therapeutic value is driving conservation efforts designed to preserve these resources for future medical applications. Professor Maria Rodriguez, who directs the Global Ancient Medicine Initiative at the United Nations, explains the worldwide significance. The rediscovery of ancient healing knowledge represents an opportunity to democratize healthcare and make advanced therapeutic capabilities available to populations throughout the world. This could be the key to achieving global health equity and reducing the enormous disparities in healthcare access that currently exist. The cultural implications are equally profound. The validation of ancient medical knowledge is encouraging renewed respect for traditional healing practices and indigenous medical systems that have been dismissed or suppressed by conventional modern medicine. This cultural shift could preserve invaluable traditional knowledge that might otherwise be lost forever. The environmental benefits of ancient medicine are also significant. Many ancient therapeutic techniques used renewable natural resources and sustainable practices that could reduce the environmental impact of healthcare, while providing effective treatment options. As we near the end of this incredible journey through ancient healing wisdom, make sure to subscribe and share this remarkable story. The final revelations about how this lost knowledge could revolutionize your own health and healing will amaze you. The personal revolution, the story of Marcus's extraordinary healing, isn't just ancient history, it represents a personal revolution in health and healing that could transform your own life and the lives of everyone you care about. The rediscovery of ancient therapeutic medical knowledge is revealing that many of the health challenges we face today could be addressed using therapeutic approaches that our ancestors had mastered. But we have forgotten that modern lifestyle diseases, chronic inflammation, autoimmune disorders, metabolic dysfunction, and stress-related health problems were successfully treated by ancient healers, using techniques that addressed root causes rather than just managing symptoms. The holistic approaches developed by the therapeutic network provided sustainable solutions to health problems that modern medicine often struggles to resolve effectively. The pharmaceutical preparations that enabled Marcus's healing included natural compounds that could enhance immune function, reduce inflammation, accelerate tissue repair, and optimize physiological function in ways that modern synthetic drugs often cannot match. Many of these compounds can be prepared using plants and natural resources that are readily available today. The nutritional protocols used during Marcus's recovery revealed systematic understanding of therapeutic nutrition that could optimize healing and health maintenance. These ancient nutritional approaches emphasized foods and nutrients that could support optimal physiological function and provide the biochemical resources necessary for health and healing. The physical rehabilitation techniques developed by ancient healers included exercise and movement practices that could restore and maintain optimal physical function throughout life. These practices emphasized functional movement, flexibility, and strength development that could prevent many of the chronic health problems associated with modern sedentary lifestyles. Perhaps most importantly, the psychological and spiritual aspects of ancient healing provided approaches to managing stress, maintaining emotional balance, and optimizing mental health that could address many of the psychological challenges that contribute to modern health problems. Dr. Sarah Johnson, who has developed modern therapeutic protocols based on ancient healing principles, explains the personal applications. What we're learning from ancient medicine is that optimal health and healing require comprehensive approaches that address nutrition, physical activity, stress management, and environmental factors as integrated systems. Ancient healers understood that true healing involves restoring balance and optimal function to all aspects of human physiology and psychology. The practical applications of ancient healing knowledge are now being made available through educational programs, therapeutic protocols, and lifestyle interventions that individuals can use to optimize their own health and healing capacity. These programs provide evidence-based methods for applying ancient wisdom to modern health challenges. The most remarkable aspect of this personal revolution is that many ancient healing techniques can be learned and applied by individuals without extensive medical training. The therapeutic network emphasized teaching healing knowledge to community members, so that therapeutic capabilities would be widely available, rather than restricted to medical specialists. This democratization of healing knowledge means that individuals can learn to address many health challenges using natural, sustainable, and effective methods that have been proven over thousands of years of practical application. The future of healing, the rediscovery of ancient medical knowledge that enabled Marcus's miraculous healing, is opening new frontiers in healthcare that could revolutionize how we understand and approach human health and healing. The integration of ancient wisdom with modern scientific methods is creating therapeutic possibilities that neither system could achieve alone. Current research is focused on developing comprehensive healing systems that combine the most effective aspects of ancient and modern medicine into integrated therapeutic approaches. These systems are showing remarkable effectiveness in treating complex health challenges that have been difficult to address using conventional modern medical methods. The next phase of development involves creating accessible delivery systems that can make advanced healing capabilities available to individuals and communities worldwide. This includes development of educational programs, therapeutic protocols, and support systems that can enable widespread application of integrated healing approaches. Artificial intelligence and machine learning technologies are being applied to ancient medical texts and archaeological evidence to accelerate the rediscovery and development of lost healing knowledge. These technologies can identify patterns and relationships in ancient medical information that might not be apparent to human researchers. The pharmaceutical industry is investing in large-scale programs to identify, develop, and commercialize therapeutic compounds based on ancient medical formulations. These programs are expected to produce breakthrough treatments for conditions that are currently difficult to treat using conventional modern pharmaceuticals. Medical device companies are developing modern versions of ancient therapeutic equipment that can provide advanced healing capabilities using principles that were discovered thousands of years ago but are only now being understood and applied using modern materials and manufacturing techniques. Perhaps most exciting is the potential for regenerative medicine based on ancient understanding of tissue repair and cellular regeneration. The compounds and techniques that enabled Marcus's complete healing from devastating injuries could provide the foundation for therapies that can restore damaged organs and tissues using the body's own healing capabilities. The global health implications are equally promising. The development of effective, affordable healing techniques based on ancient knowledge could provide advanced healthcare capabilities to populations that currently lack access to modern medical treatment. Dr. Michael Thompson, who directs the International Future Medicine Initiative, describes the potential. We're on the threshold of a healthcare revolution that could provide unprecedented healing capabilities while making advanced medical treatment accessible to everyone. The ancient knowledge that saved Marcus could save millions of lives and transform human health and well-being. The future of healing lies not in choosing between ancient wisdom and modern science, but in integrating the best of both approaches to create therapeutic systems that exceed what either could accomplish alone. The story of Marcus's healing provides a blueprint for this integration and demonstrates the extraordinary possibilities that become available when we combine ancient knowledge with modern capabilities. The healing revolution that began with one torture victim's miraculous recovery over 18 centuries ago is now spreading throughout the world, offering hope for comprehensive solutions to humanity's health challenges and the promise of healing capabilities that seemed impossible just decades ago. The incredible story of Marcus's healing proves that the human body possesses extraordinary capacity for recovery and regeneration when provided with the right therapeutic support. The ancient knowledge that enabled his miraculous healing is now being rediscovered and could revolutionize healthcare for generations to come. If this remarkable journey through lost healing wisdom has inspired you as much as it has inspired researchers around the world, make sure to subscribe for more incredible discoveries about how ancient knowledge is transforming modern life. Share this video with anyone who could benefit from learning about natural healing approaches that have been proven effective for thousands of years. The healing revolution has begun, and you can be part of it. The torture victim, who used ancient medicine to heal completely, has given us more than just an inspiring story of survival and recovery. Marcus Aurelius Therapeutics has provided a roadmap for rediscovering the healing wisdom that could transform healthcare and give every person access to therapeutic capabilities that seemed miraculous to our ancestors, but could become routine for us. His legacy lives on in every patient who benefits from the integration of ancient healing knowledge with modern medical science, proving that the greatest medical advances often come from looking back to rediscover what we have forgotten, rather than only looking forward to what we might invent.